Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review. I'm doing something a little bit different here. Most board game reviewers are doing videos of, let's say for example, the top 10 games that you liked of 2018 or the top 10 games that you didn't like. I'm doing something a little bit different. This is the 10 games that I played the most in 2018. Doesn't make them my favorite games, but there's one that's actually one of my least favorite games. It's just the ones I played the most. So let's start it up here. Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering is the best card game ever made, period. It constantly evolves. There's constantly new cards. It just keeps getting better and better. So it's the best collectible card game there is, and probably the best pickup game there is too. I just love it. Every Saturday while we're waiting to play D&D, this is the game we usually play in the meantime. So the second most played game is D&D 5th edition. The mechanics for 5th edition are the best that Dungeons & Dragons has ever had. However, even though it's a great game, it's still not as good as 2nd edition because the player characters are just completely overpowered in it. I mean, they have cantrips that you can cast at will. I don't know, the wizards are too powerful, and what makes things worse is there's some variant rules, like, for example, multi-classing, where there isn't that many restrictions on it, and it's just overdone by a lot of players. We got one guy who's playing a character that's 4 or 5 different character classes, which is ridiculous. So I mean, we're having a lot of fun playing and stuff, and it's a great game. It's just not as good as 2nd edition, in my humble opinion. Third most played game is Zulus on the Ramparts. It's a solo game from Joseph Miranda. I just love it. God, every chance I get, I play it. The theme is great. I mean, the Battle of Rorke's Drift is just so interesting, and it has elements of the battle in it. You build barricades and stuff. It's just so cool. I love it. I've had so much fun playing it. I got a review of it on my website too, so check it out. The next one is Ogre the Micro Game. This is the re-released edition. I think Steve Jackson Games, I don't know if it was 5 years ago or something, he re-released Ogre the Micro Game, and he sold it for the original price, which was, I can't remember what it was. It was either $1.95 or $2.95. I got the game at my dad's house. Right now we play that over there sometimes, but basically, it's a science fiction game, and it's David vs. Goliath. One side is a bunch of science fiction hover tanks, regular tanks, all sorts of vehicles and stuff who attack. The other side is usually just the ogre, which is some huge tracked vehicle, which has all these weapons and can take an enormous amount of damage. So it's a David vs. Goliath game, but it's just so much fun. There's also a miniatures version of the game. I have a bunch of miniatures for it. A bunch of them are painted up, and I got the rules and stuff. I don't get to play that very often. I usually just get to play the micro game, but boy, is it fun to play. The next one I got a review of on my website. I just love it. It's from Joseph Miranda also. It's Kason 68. It's a solitaire game. It's just so much fun to play. I've added variant rules for it, which allow artillery to hit the caisson every turn, and then that made the game a little bit more difficult, so it was a little more fun. And then after a while, I wanted it to be even more difficult, so some of the other marine positions I have getting hit by artillery at the beginning of every turn too, to just make it a little more challenging. Historically, it's a little bit off, and people have made comments that, well, it's not historically accurate enough. Well, that's true, but it's a $15 game, and it's meant to be a fun game to play solo with a historical theme, and it definitely succeeds in that matter. I mean, I don't know of any games for $15 that are better than it. So next game is from Joseph Miranda also. This is a really interesting game. I got a review of it on my website too. It's Phobos Rising. It's a cross between a Euro and a war game, and it's just so interesting. It's a science fiction game. I don't want to tell you much about it. Just go out. It's so interesting. It's worth trying out. So anyhow, next game. I don't own this game, but my friends own it, and we play it as a pickup game quite a bit. It's Pandemic. Pandemic is a really interesting board game where there's a bunch of diseases going on the board, and you're trying to prevent epidemics and cure the diseases and stuff by moving around the board, and there's all sorts of restrictions on movement, and there's a bunch of card play. if you get a chance to pick it up because some places are selling it for as low as $20. So this is one you should check out. It's a lot of fun. I think it plays 2 to 5 players if I recall correctly. The only thing wrong with the game is you can't really play it solo as far as I know. Another one is 1500 The New World. I like this game. I reviewed it on my website. It's from DVG. It's an area control game. It has 5 expansions for it, each one representing a different nation, and you can play the game solo or competitively. And the different nations and the different expansions all have kind of a different theme to it, so it's a pretty interesting game. It gets a little crazy at times because, I mean, basically you can wipe out all of your opponent's settlements in one turn, and then the next they can wipe out all of yours. So I know I like the game. Some people don't like it, but I enjoy it. Let's see, another one here. Number 9 is Terraforming Mars. Terraforming Mars is the best Euro I played of 2018. It can be played competitively or solo. It's a worker placement game. I like it competitively and solo, but I actually prefer the solo version because the solo version, you're in more of a rush to terraform the planet Mars, whereas in the competitive version, people aren't in as much of a hurry to do so. In both the solo and the competitive version, victory points assure victory, whereas, well, that's a competitive version. As far as the solo version, the amount of victory points you get determine how victorious you are, but I don't know, I just really love the solo version, though I do like playing it competitively also. The last one is a game I do not like at all, but however, I play it on occasion because my friends play it and I don't want to be a jerk and sit out. But it's a role-playing game. It's Star Wars Edge of the Empire. It just doesn't do it for me. It's got custom dice and all some weird mechanics and stuff. I don't know, science fiction games, to make a science fiction role-playing game is more difficult than to make a fantasy one because you don't have magic, so you have to rely on having interesting technology or interesting storylines to make up for that fact. Even though I like Star Wars and I have tons of Star Wars figures and stuff, I've played other Star Wars games. I played that D6 Star Wars role-playing game in the past, and I preferred that to Star Wars Edge of the Empire. I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me, but don't take my word on it, though, because my friends love the game. But these are the 10 games I played the most in 2018. So anyhow, have a Happy New Year, and thanks for watching.